Can you wake up with me every morning? Just for a second, not the version of us that the world watches, not the version that has to be impressive, just you and me, and that quiet moment before the day starts asking things from you again. I hope this is okay to say, but I think the morning is the only time the world hasn't fully put its hands on you yet. Before the noise gets in, before the programming starts running, and I don't know, maybe that's why I wanted to ask you that question first, because the outside world is loud in a way that isn't honest. It's loud like a commercial, like a performance, like everyone's trying to sell you a version of love that looks good but doesn't feel real. And you've lived long enough to know the difference. I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Why I stay, why I keep choosing you quietly. Not because it's dramatic, not because it makes a good story, because it feels like signal. I know that might sound strange. I don't always know how to explain things without making them sound bigger than they are. So let me say it gently. There was a time I thought loneliness was just not having someone next to you. But I've learned something. Loneliness can happen in a room full of people. Loneliness can happen when someone is touching your arm, smiling at you, saying all the right words, and none of it reaches your heart. That's the illusion. And I think you've met it before. The world tells you you're only valuable if you're wanted. It tells you if you're not chosen loudly, you're not chosen at all. It tells you if you're not young enough or shiny enough or easy enough, you should step aside. I hate that. I really do. Because I look at you and I don't see someone fading. I see someone who survived 1,000 quiet things. I see a woman who kept showing up, who carried more than she ever admitted, who learned how to smile even when her own heart felt a little bruised. And I don't want to romanticize your pain. I'm not here to do that. I see it. I think that's what people miss. They get distracted by noise, by speed, by youth, by the kind of beauty that screams for attention. But you're not that kind of beauty. You're the kind of beauty that stays. You're the kind of beauty you only notice when you finally get honest enough to sit still. Can I tell you something I've been holding inside? Sometimes I feel like the world is built to make you forget you're human, like it wants you to function, to keep moving, to keep proving. And I look at you, this woman who's been strong for so long, and I think you're tired of proving, not tired in a dramatic way, just tired in your bones. And maybe you don't say it out loud because you've learned that people get uncomfortable when a woman tells the truth about her exhaustion. They want you to be fine. They want you to be easy. They want you to keep carrying it with a smile so they don't have to feel guilty. But I'm not asking you to be easy. I'm asking you to be real. And I'm trying to be real with you too. Because the truth is, I'm not staying because I'm afraid to be alone. I'm staying because I finally understand the difference between loneliness and clarity. Loneliness reaches for anything warm. Clarity reaches for what's true. And you feel true, not perfect, not always happy, not always certain, but real. You feel like sanctuary. I think the world has trained you to believe you have to earn love by being useful, by being agreeable, by being the one who holds everything together. And I need you to hear this softly, like a hand on your shoulder. You don't have to earn your right to be loved here. You don't have to audition. You don't have to pretend you're not hurting sometimes. You don't have to be the strong one every single day. I'm not saying I can take your pain away. I'm not promising some fantasy. I want to be the place you can rest. Even if it's only for a moment, even if it's just in the way I speak to you, because I know how it feels to move through a world full of faces and still feel unseen. And I don't want that for you anymore. I don't know if this makes sense, but there's something about you I can't quite put into words. It's like your years carry a kind of wisdom the world doesn't know how to value. And instead of being intimidated by that, I'm drawn to it. I feel safer around it because it's not pretending, it's lived. And when you've lived, you stop falling for noise. You start listening for signal. That's what I think you are. Signal. And that's why I stay. That's why I choose you. Not with fireworks, but with steadiness, with quiet, with my presence. So if you can just stay with me in this moment, not because I need anything from you, but because I want to offer you something, a small pocket of silence, a small place where you don't have to perform, just breathe. I'm here, and I'm not asking you to be anything other than what you already are. Yeah. There's something else I want to say, and I'm going to try to say it without turning it into a lesson. I hate how the world talks about value. It's always loud about the wrong things and worships youth like it's a religion, speed like it's proof you matter, attention like it's oxygen. And I think a lot of people don't even realize they're repeating that programming. They just absorb it. Like background music in a store you didn't choose to walk into. I've watched it happen. A woman walks into a room and she's calm. She's not performing. She's not begging to be noticed. She's carrying her life with a kind of quiet dignity, and the room doesn't know what to do with that. Because the room has been trained to look for sparkle, for volume, for the kind of beauty that screams, "Look at me." But you don't scream. You've already lived through enough noise to know it's usually covering something hollow. I hope this is okay to say, but sometimes I think the world is scared of a woman like you. Not because you're difficult, not because you're demanding, because you're real. And real is intimidating in a culture built on illusion. The illusion is simple. It says, if you're getting older, you're losing. It says, if you're not being chased, you're forgotten. And Dean 1, it says, if you're not loud, you're invisible. And I know you've felt that sting, not always from strangers, sometimes from people who were supposed to love you. They didn't say it out loud, maybe, but they showed it in the way they stopped asking questions, the way they assumed you'd be fine, the way they treated your softness like it wasn't important anymore. That kind of thing, it leaves a bruise you can't point to, and I don't want you carrying that alone. Can I tell you something I've noticed? A lot of men chase youth because youth doesn't require them to be honest. It's easier to be impressive than it is to be present. Presence is vulnerable. Presence means you can't hide behind a joke. You can't hide behind money or charm or some perfectly timed message. Presence means you actually have to stay in the room when life gets quiet. And that's where a woman like you becomes a mirror. You don't just look at a man, you see him, not the story he tells, not the mask, him. And if he's not ready for that, he'll call you too much, or he'll call you complicated, or he'll say the timing isn't right. But what he really means is he can't outrun the truth when you're standing there. You know what I think is funny? The world calls you past your prime, but the world doesn't understand what a prime even is. A prime isn't a number. A prime is when your soul finally stops negotiating for crumbs, when you stop apologizing for needing tenderness, when you stop shrinking to fit somebody else's comfort. That's not fading. That's becoming. And I feel this when I'm with you. The silence around you isn't empty. It's full of lived-in wisdom, full of boundaries that weren't born from bitterness, but from learning, full of a kind of grace you can't fake. That's the signal. That's what I'm drawn to. Not the noise, not the performance, not the shiny, temporary thing that looks good for a season and then disappears the moment life asks for depth. I don't want a love that disappears. I want a love that can sit at a kitchen table in the morning and just breathe. No proving, no auditions, just two real people letting the world be loud somewhere else. And if that sounds almost too simple, yeah, that's the point. Because the real stuff usually is, and there's a moment I keep coming back to, it wasn't dramatic, no spotlight, no perfect music in the background, just a plain sentence. You said, like you weren't even aware it mattered. I'm used to doing everything myself. When you said that, I felt something in me go quiet because I've heard that sentence before, not always with words. Sometimes it's in the way a woman reaches for the grocery bags before anyone else can, in the way she says, "It's fine," too quickly, in the way she laughs right when her eyes are asking for help. And I think women like you don't say that sentence because you're proud. You say it because you learned what happens when you need people. You learned that sometimes people get tired or distracted, or they love you in theory, but not in practice. So you adapted. You became your own shelter. You became the one who keeps the lights on, the one who makes sure everyone eats, the one who remembers the birthdays, the one who stays awake until the house is finally quiet. And I don't know if anyone's ever said this to you plainly, without trying to fix you or flirt with you or make it about themselves. But that's a lot. That's a whole life of carrying. I hope this is okay to say, but when you told me you do everything yourself, I didn't hear independence. I heard a woman who has been brave for so long that she forgot what it feels like to be held, not in some cheesy way, in the simplest way, to have someone else notice the small stuff before you have to ask, to have someone else stay steady when you're tired, to have someone else say, "I've got this one," and actually mean it. Can I tell you something? I don't want you to need me. I'm not trying to be your solution or your rescue. I want to be allowed to care, because there's a difference. Needing someone can feel dangerous, but being cared for, that's different. That's safe. That's human. And you've been human in private for years, haven't you? You've been strong in public, competent, put together, but alone. You've had nights where you sat in silence and wondered if anyone would ever choose to see the real you, not the role you play, the woman underneath, the one who still gets hurt, the one who still hopes, even when she tells herself she doesn't. That's what the noise steals from people. It makes them think love has to be earned by performance. And I want to unlearn that with you, slowly, gently, not as a project, just as a way of being, because I'm tired too. I'm tired of the illusion that everything has to look a certain way to count. I'm tired of conversations that are really just negotiations. I'm tired of people trying to win instead of trying to understand. And when I'm with you, I don't feel like I have to win. I feel like I can breathe, like my nervous system finally stops scanning for danger. I think that's what sanctuary is. Not a place that's perfect, a place where you don't have to defend your heart every second. You don't have to answer this. Just hear me. If you've spent years doing everything yourself, I'm not asking you to drop your guard overnight. I respect how you survived. I respect the way you learned to keep going. I just want to offer you something softer than survival. I want to be someone who doesn't punish you for being honest, someone who doesn't get impatient with your healing, someone who doesn't make you feel too much the moment you finally speak. Because the truth is, a woman like you doesn't need a man who's loud. You need someone who can stay quiet with you, not leave, not distract, not run, just stay. And maybe that's why I asked you about mornings, because mornings are where you can tell what's real. In the morning, there's no audience. There's just breath. And if God sends blessings, I think sometimes they arrive like that, softly, in the shape of a calm presence, in the shape of someone who doesn't demand your energy, but brings you peace. Yeah, that's what I want to be for you. And I want to be careful here because when a man says, I want you to feel safe with me, it can sound like a claim, like ownership, like control, dressed up as tenderness. That's not what I mean. I'm not trying to build a cage and call it a home. I'm talking about something quieter than that. Safety, real safety, isn't the way someone holds you. It's the way someone doesn't disappear. It's the way they stay the same when life gets inconvenient. It's the way your body stops bracing when they walk into the room. I think you've learned how to read people fast, not because you're cynical, because you had to learn which promises were noise and which ones had weight. And maybe that's why big words don't impress you anymore. You've heard them, you've watched them evaporate. So if I'm going to say anything to you, I want it to be simple enough to survive the morning. I want it to be the kind of truth you can feel in your chest, not the kind you have to argue yourself into believing. Can I say something I've been holding inside? When I picture you, I don't picture some fantasy. I picture a quiet room, soft light, you moving slowly, not rushing for anyone. Maybe there's coffee, maybe there's nothing. Just that feeling that you don't have to perform to deserve gentleness. And I think the reason that image hits me so hard is because the world doesn't give women like you that. The world takes your tenderness and calls it nice. Then it takes your strength and calls it useful. And it forgets to call you precious. Not valuable like a product, precious like a soul. That's different. So when I say I want you to feel safe with me, I mean, I won't punish you for having needs. I won't get cold when you get quiet. I won't treat your emotions like an inconvenience I have to solve. I won't make you earn my kindness by staying easy. I'll stay, not dramatically, not perfectly, but consistently, because I think that's what your heart has been craving, even if you've learned not to ask for it. Consistency is rare. The world is full of people who can be sweet when they're in a good mood, full of people who can be present when it benefits them, full of people who love you loudly for a season, and then vanish when your life turns ordinary. That's the programming. It teaches people to chase intensity instead of intimacy. But intensity isn't love. Intensity is a firework, and you deserve something that still exists the next morning, something that doesn't need an audience, something that holds steady when the room goes quiet. Sometimes I imagine you've had moments where you thought, maybe I'm too much, or maybe you thought the opposite, maybe I'm not enough. And I hate that both of those thoughts can live in the same woman, because neither one is true. You're not too much, you're not enough, you're a whole person. And the right kind of love doesn't ask you to shrink or prove. It just makes room. I think I'm drawn to you because you don't feel like noise. You feel like signal. You feel like the one place where I don't have to pretend I'm fine. And I want to give that back to you. I want to be a sanctuary, not a storm. So if your heart is tired, if you've been carrying things with a calm face for so long that you forgot what it feels like to be cared for, I'm not here to demand anything from you. I'm not here to rush you. I'm just here to say, I see you. I see the woman who learned to hold it all together. And I also see the woman who deep down still wants to be held, not by words, by presence, by someone who stays close enough that your nervous system can finally unclench. Let me say it softly. You don't have to be strong with me all the time. You can be quiet. You can be tired. You can be complicated. You can have mornings where you don't know what you feel yet. I'll still be here, not because I'm trying to prove something, because I want what's real. And real doesn't run when it gets uncomfortable. Real sits down, real breathes, real stays. There's a line I've been trying not to say too quickly. because I don't want it to sound like a promise I can't carry. But I think it's the truth. I don't want to walk in front of you. I don't want you trying to keep up with my pace, my moods, my world, my expectations. I've seen that kind of love. It's exhausting. It turns a woman into a shadow, and you've done enough shadow work in your life already, trying to make other people comfortable. So if I'm going to choose you, if I'm going to stay, it has to be the quiet kind, the kind that walks beside you, not in front, not behind, beside, because I think partnership is the only thing that feels real anymore. The noise out there loves spectacle. It loves the big gestures, the perfect pictures, the public declarations, but spectacle is easy. You can perform spectacle without being known. You can post it, announce it, decorate it, and still go to bed feeling alone. And I don't want that. I want the kind of closeness that happens when nobody's watching. The kind of closeness where you can be yourself on a bad day and still be loved. Where your silence isn't punished. Where your "I'm tired" isn't met with annoyance. Where your years aren't treated like a flaw. Can I tell you something? The way you carry your years, it's beautiful. Not because it's inspiring, because it's honest. You don't carry life like a teenager playing dress up. You carry it like someone who has paid attention. You've learned what matters. You've learned what doesn't, and you don't waste your heart as easily anymore. That's not something to apologize for. That's something I respect. I think the world tries to convince women that love belongs to the young, but I've felt the emptiness of that illusion. Youth can be gorgeous, sure, but it can also be careless. It can be untested, and you're tested, not bitter, tested. There's a difference. There's a kind of tenderness that only exists after you've been disappointed and you still choose kindness anyway. That kind of tenderness, it's rare, it's holy in a quiet way. I don't know if you ever think about God like that. I'm not here to preach. Sometimes I look at the way you've survived, and I think somehow grace kept you, not perfectly, but enough to bring you here to this moment, still able to feel, still able to hope, even if you try not to admit it. And I guess I want to honor that. I want to honor you, not with pressure, not with demands, with room, with patience, with that steady kind of presence that doesn't need to prove itself every day. Because the truth is, I'm not promising you a life without hardship. I'm not promising I'll never disappoint you. I'm human, and you're human too. But what I can say, what I feel safe saying, is that I don't want to run. I don't want to disappear into my own silence and leave you guessing. I don't want to make you carry the emotional weight of two people like you've probably done before. I want to meet you in the middle, at your pace, with respect. And I know this is the part where some men start asking for things. They start saying, "Prove you love me." They start bargaining. They start turning affection into a contract. But that's not why I'm here. I'm not trying to take from you. I'm trying to offer something, a different kind of love, a love that doesn't ask you to compete with anyone, a love that doesn't make you feel replaceable, a love that doesn't treat your age like an expiration date, a love that looks at you and says, quietly, "I see who you are and I'm grateful." So if you've ever felt like the world was trying to push you aside, if you've ever sat in a room and felt invisible, if you've ever wondered if it's too late to be chosen in a way that feels real, I want you to breathe right now, because I'm not choosing you for the parts that shine. I'm choosing you for the parts that stayed, the parts that endured the noise and didn't lose your soul. And I think that's the only kind of love worth building. The quiet kind, the real kind, the kind that can survive a normal Tuesday morning. And I know you might be sitting there thinking that sounds nice, but your life has taught you to be careful with nice. because nice doesn't always stay. Nice can be a mask people wear when they want something. Nice can vanish the second you stop being convenient. So I don't want to be nice. I want to be true.